Okay, so while I'm doing this in no particular order, like I'm not going by era, like if you want to see me do things by era or release date, look at my Simon retrospective, but I digress. I'm just doing these in whichever era I want, whichever order I want to. But we're talking about Bop It Shout today. And in case anyone is curious, this is not the standard version of the game, this is the clear edition, which out of any Bop It of all time, at least as of right now, from my understanding, it's very, very rare. Like, very, 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 very rare. Not ultra rare, like, the SEC version of Loops, the Cobalt edition of Loops, which I may or may not get to that at some point, but I digress. But, where should I start? I actually don't know where to start. I'm going to save the critique on the presentation and aesthetic for last, like I usually do. So I guess I should go over, like, what changes. And this is going to be important for those of you who missed my how to play Bop It in an introductory video on how to play Bop It video thing that I made a while ago. Like, I think, like, a month ago or something like that. What changes? Definitely the quality has changed over time. Like, this is definitely one of the most fondly remembered Bop It games ever. Like, especially in the community. And that's kind of the main problem. Like I said in the world's smallest critique review, whatever thing video, I'm just going to say it for contextual reasons, and I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to target anyone. I'm not going to spitball target. But I'm just going to say this for how it is. Bop It Shout is overrated. And it's not the first one to be overrated. That'd be the Extreme 2, released in 2002. I'm not saying like they're overrated like in a bad way, like they're bad games or anything. That wouldn't even make sense. I'm just saying that like I have seen way too many people, like in general, like even people who aren't a part of our fandom, claim they're hardcore Bop It fans, but they either have the Extreme 2, Bop It Shout, Micro series, which is I'm not doing that in like probably not even in the exact same video or at all, because it's actually, if I can sum it up in like probably one sentence, it's the shout, but it's small and it doesn't have the shout feature. That's literally all I can add. Like, it's not like it's not special or anything. It's definitely really compact, and this is before World's Smallest, me I remind you. So like, if we're talking about World's Smallest again, it's not like it's not unique, but like you're also not missing much. That's why I recommend World's Smallest. I went into that in my video, on World's Smallest. But again, the Extreme 2 was the first one to be like officially considered overrated. Then it was the Shout. Then it was New Moves. And if we're talking spin-offs, I'd say kind of the trinity of spin-offs. They're equally overrated. And again, I'm not like hating on them or whatever, that again would make sense. But I will get to probably all of those except for Beats. And for people who've been following me and people who know about how YouTube operates, Beats is literally the only one that I legally cannot play. So, pardon me. Anyway, back to like the actual positive stuff of the actual positive aspects of the game. Again, pardon me, I'm kind of mumbling and stumbling over my words. The gameplay definitely has seen a significant upgrade in terms of like pacing, and the audio quality is really like it's drastically improved. This was also the very first Bop It game in general in history, in Bop It history at least, to be voiced by Buddy Russell Rubino. This is actually a great segue into talking about some cool facts about Buddy Russell Rubino, typically just referred to as Buddy Rubino if you want to keep his name simple. Prior to like auditioning for the role of Bop It Shout, well, it's just credited under his list of credits as Hasbro, but I digress. He never even knew what Bop It was at the time. He had to do one of my favorite things, extensive research. Like, he never even heard of Bop It, me I remind you. And from what I can tell, and it's not like my stupid little opinion thing, like, I actually did check, Bop It is what really kind of put him on the map. Like, he has a full list of credits on his personal official website if you are interested in checking that out, which I probably will link that in the description and the comments. But, like, his resume is really interesting and very impressive. Like, I'm really surprised he's not recognized as one of the greatest voice actors of all time. And no, I'm not just saying that because like he's hilarious as Bop It shout. I'm not just saying that like in like this nostalgia blind, biased, hypocritical, whatever way. Like he has a really impressive resume. But back to what's actually important. Again, the gameplay. This was the very first Bop It game to incorporate color bop, where, for example, it makes a lot more sense contextually if you have the standard shout, which I don't have, and I'm probably not going to get because I actually prefer this one a lot more. But it goes like this: white, yellow, green, which, by the way, that's shout, that's optional, blue. And, yeah, I'm not going to turn on the shout feature. That is completely optional. If you want to know how it works, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like a microphone. That's what those are right there. Those little holes, lines, whatever. I can try and quote-unquote play it with one hand.
Solo.
Also, you can adjust the volume via twist it.
Blasting.
There's also a level selection button thing.
Expert. Master. Novice.
I have beaten it, although, again, that's pretty easy, so I'm not gonna,
Bop it to start.
brag about whatever. Anyone can do it.
I score 100. Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Yow! Oh, so close. Score 3.
That was intentional, because I can't do this with one hand, so pardon me.
Bop it to start.
Another cool feature would be this. Give it a little bit. Hold on.
I'm going to sleep.
I've mentioned this in previous videos. I think actually only one video. I really can't remember. It's been a while. But I will repeat it for those who aren't aware. That feature, the automatic shutdown, I'm going to sleep. That was not Dan Klitzner, the inventor of Bop It's idea. It was actually a partner of his over at Kid Group, which, by the way, I always love sharing this fact with people. Kid Group, Klitzner Industrial Design. That's awesome. But anyway, it was a partner of his who implemented that feature. I think he was responsible for implementing the volume control as well, which first debuted in the Extreme 2 in 2002 via the Spin It command. And if I'm not mistaken about this either, he also implemented the "My batteries are running low" battery warning feature, first implemented in the Bop It New Moves game release in 2016, which, again, I will try and get to that. But yeah, I like this game. It's actually kind of hard to express my overall opinions on this game, so if I mumble and stumble over my words again and I sound like I make no sense, pardon me, but I kind of like it because the sound quality, especially I don't know if it's just me, but especially the twisted sound, it's more crunchy, I guess. It sounds a lot more satisfying to actually pull off these moves, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I ever pointed this out, in general, but the Bop It sound is an actual, I think it's either a bass or snare drum sound effect. The sound quality is definitely one of the major things that has been vastly improved. And if you're wondering what the Shout It sound is, it's a record scratch, it's a record sound effect. And also, another fact about, the shout command itself, you don't have to respond immediately. There's a small window of opportunity, it'll say shout it, or green, or if you're playing beat bop mode, it'll do that a higher pitch version of the actual sound when you do the command. It's very hard to tell, and it needs to be you have to be in a very quiet place to actually hear this, and you have to have really good hearing. But there's a very small pause in which you'll hear the beat of the music will be very, very quiet, and if you don't respond after that, you lose immediately. Yes, even when the game is on its fastest speed, it still happens. So, I wouldn't say you can, exploit it per se, it's just, an interesting fact. But now on to the last part of this review critique thing, which is this is kind of the thing that people expect from me. I like this game for its aesthetics. I say that a lot. I really do. I also love the fonts, which will become the staple for even the Bop It games nowadays, with the exceptions of World's Smallest, because that's modeled after the original. This font is actually called Oleo. I mentioned that in the previous video that I don't think a lot of people have seen, so pardon me if I'm repeating myself, but it's a font style called Oleo. The very last time this was used canonically was in Bop It R2-D2 in 2015, ironically enough, very specific. But starting in 2016 with Bop It New Moves, the one with Hammer It, Selfie It, it was altered slightly to be more dynamic, I guess, and it has a speech bubble in it. And in case you're wondering, every other Bop It after that, again with the exception of moves, World's Smallest, frick me, would utilize this exact same style. Even Bop It Spider-Man, which is the most recent modern Bop It in general to have come out, uses this font style. But yeah, if there is one complaint I have to point out, like just one minor complaint, it's this. The Bop Jets have like this weird silicone rubbery texture. I don't know what to call it actually, but it does get dirty really quickly. You can see that right there. It's not going to change my. It's not going to like affect my overall enjoyment of the game itself. Like it still functions after all. So that's why it's merely just a minor nitpick. Do I recommend this one in the modern day and age? Even taking into consideration how overrated this one is in like amongst the fandom, because of I won't say names, but because of I'll just say certain people because I don't want to like spitball target. Yes, it's still recommended. Like even as your first Bop It, like if you're like a newcomer to Bop It, I say go for this one. It's definitely out of print. Like if this came out in 2008, after all. So, like, it's not difficult to find, not even this one anymore, like, it's not really that valuable anymore. One of my friends found, like, 10 of them on eBay recently, so, yeah, that thing's value kind of went down. But, yeah, I definitely highly recommend this one. The most common is the white one that has the silver trim around the Bop It button. That's the most common one. And I want to end this on one more specific fun fact. This was the first and only Bop It to see a Japanese release. And even then, at the time, and I don't think now, as of right now, currently, Hasbro did not exist. They didn't have a branch over in Japan at the time, so it was outsourced to Bandai. Yes, the exact same Bandai that became Bandai Namco when Bandai and Namco achieved fusion. If you're not familiar with Bandai, like, in general, say you grew up with like a Ben 10 Omnitrix, like an interactive toy Omnitrix, or a Ben 10 action figure, it's that exact same Bandai. Like, it's the exact same team. But I bring that because, and I had to reach out to people on Twitter, specifically one person. Apparently, for the most part, Bob and Simon specifically, but 20Q did a little bit better. Electronic gaming isn't like really mainstream over in Japan. Like, from what I was told about Bop It specifically, like, it was seen as, I think, either too cutesy or too cartoonish over there, which is why it didn't really take off. This is, like, again, back to this real quick. Hasbro not existing over in Japan definitely wasn't helping matters. And need I remind you, with anything, the localization process for anything takes a really long time. So that really didn't help matters. And the end result was Bop It Shout bombing horribly in Japan, in case anyone was curious. Simon was the very first electronic game to be released in Japan at all. Like, all the way back in 1978, for those who are wondering. Like, it's the exact same game verbatim. One of my friends, Kane Kaiser, I hope you're watching this, dude. He has a Japanese Bop It Shout. He has... I never even knew this one existed, but it's got like the black plastic shell and the silver trim with a white Bop It button. Watch his video on it. He covers it in a lot more detail than I ever could. And I actually helped him. I specified all this information, how electronic games aren't really mainstream over in Japan. Like, even if like you're not a fan of Bop It, but you appreciate the process of localization, it's very fascinating. Like, it's tragic but fascinating. Like, yes, Bop It bombed horribly in Japan, but that's still really fascinating. So yeah, thought I'd give my overall opinion and critique on Bop It Shout. This is Sir Bop-A-Lot, signing out.